Hello and welcome to another fantastic episode of RGDS, your retro gaming discussion show. I'm your host, Paul Driscoll, aka the Drisk, and joining me, yes, it's my usual partner in crime, it's Gordon King, aka Kingy. How are you, buddy? How's things?
Yeah, not too bad. I've actually had a life. Would you believe? This is obviously at time of recording. This is Sunday evening.
Yeah.
And this weekend I have blinked, and it's over with, and I've got the Sunday blues, and I'm pissed off because I've had no me time, right? So it's like no. I mean, so Friday night I was at a retirement do for my old boss. That was good. Don't get me wrong. So it was nice to see my previous works colleagues and so forth, you know. But it was in an Italian restaurant where we went to start off with.
Yeah.
And because there was maybe about 40 people there. The cacophony of, no offence to all you girl listeners, but the high voices of females was so loud. And I was sitting chatting with them. I'm part of the whole, yeah. You know, my ears were bleeding by the end of it. And then we went down to a local pub. Well, it's bigger than a pub, you know what I mean? A bar that has a live stage. And of course then there was a live band on. I was like, oh my God, my ears aren't getting a rest. And I hate when you want to catch up with people and you go to these places, even if it's an acoustic guitar player, the volume's so loud in the PA. And I'm one of these people, when there's a lot of noise, I'm shit at hearing what people are trying to say to me. You know, I can't block it out, and I'm always pressing my ear against their bloody mouth just to hear what they're saying. So then on...
Well,
last
only
night,
the pretty ones, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly that.
I cannot hear you.
Oh, that was a terrible
That was
accent
terrible
there.
accent,
Good attempt, but terrible all the same. Last night, Saturday night, I took the lad through to Glasgow, through to the Weege, and to see Soulfly, the metal band, a reasonably good-sized venue, but you know it was decent. It was crammed, it was loud, and my other mate I took through got so shit-faced he became a liability. It was like, oh, for goodness sake. So yeah, I didn't get home till 1 a.m. because coming back from the west side of Scotland through to the east where I live, and you're crossing the bridges on the estuary and so forth, the thick fog was so bad that it limited traffic. So it's just been full on all weekend, and now here we are, devoted to the listeners and the cause of retro. We're doing a podcast, quite right.
Yeah, this has been quite difficult to squeeze in with all our time.
Well, Arcade Club's coming up as well.
I know, I'm so excited for that. But yeah, I mean, because similar thing, I've just been, you know, I've started a new job, so it's just like a million and one
The porn
things
industry's
to learn.
paying well, we're here. So
If only I was that well endowed. But no, sadly it's not. It's in computers. But no, but yeah, I've really sort of like been catching up with that. But it's been nice playing these games that we're about to cover.
Yeah. I mean, I've squeezed
really
it in.
enjoyed
I've had a ball playing them. Just focused on a chosen few, and it's nice because it's been a while. I was thinking about, we used to always do episodes where we chose 6 games on a particular topic, whether it's thematic or on a system, and it was great. We had great fun, and for some reason
we got a really big scope,
big silly scope episodes. The best 100 games of this, or the best 50 Amiga games, or 10 Squillion games of this, and it's like, so it's nice just to go back to inverted commas our roots and cover some games. So good.
But you know, outside of that, I've been. I'm really excited. I've pre-ordered that the new The Spectrum. By Retro Games. Have you pre-ordered that one or not?
Stupidly, yes, I have. But I like Amazon pre-orders because you can cancel it. The only reason I pre-ordered it because it's fear of missing out. Do I really need the Spectrum? I've got a Spectrum Next that does exactly the same thing. Right?
But it's I don't have the Spectrum Next, but yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
But it's rubber keyed.
It's a rubber key, and that was my original system.
Yeah.
You know, way back in 1984 when I first got it. It was fantastic.
I guess we ought to explain it to our listeners that you know, they might not know what the Spectrum this new device is. So Retro Games, they're the people that did the C64 Mini, the C64 Maxi, the Amiga Mini, and
Atari,
they're
the
now
Atari 8-bit mini as well.
the Atari 8-bit Mini as well. Yeah, so one of the nice things with them is that their systems are open, so they don't. Although it comes preloaded with games, it will be straight out the box. You'll be able to like plug in a USB with every Spectrum game that ever was, both 48K and 128K, and play them. But I have to say the the lineup of it. And what's great with this is a working keyboard, unlike some of the minis. It's a full size.
I think that makes it important.
48K.
I think if everyone, like the Commodore Maxi, I was very tempted on when the Maxi was announced as well, that if I'm wanting an 8-bit computer, I don't just want a mould of it, right?
Yeah.
That you can't, it's not tactile and you can use it. I would like, any of the 8-bit systems. I want the BBC Micro Mini to come out next, or the Maxi.
Or Maxi.
The Maxi would be better because that was probably the best 8-bit keyboard that existed. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, I digress.
No. I mean, so it's kind of just like a fully working keyboard. It's a pretty good price actually. It's £89.99. Yeah, and I've got to say, we won't bother listing all the games here, but the 48 games built in is just, they clearly know their stuff. They've chosen real classics, from a Fidus and Monty, The Hobbit, Manic Miner, Target Renegade, Technician Ted, Where Time Stood Still. I mean, it really is a really good lineup, but they've also put in modern homebrew games as well.
That's correct.
So you get like Alien Girl Skirmish Edition, which is awesome. You've got TCQ, which we've covered in our homebrew one. That was amazing, wasn't it?
Amawex from Brazil are fantastic. I've interviewed Paulo for Crash Magazine, and he's such a passion. He's an artist that came across the Spectrum retrospectively and thought this was exactly ideal for his creative side, the limitations of hardware to express himself, because he always likes to tap into Latin American folklore and stuff like that, so he's bringing his culture into video games. And it was a nice chat I had with him over this, and because of this, one, he didn't grow up with the Spectrum, so he's not influenced in making yet another Jet Set Willy clone or whatever. He is bringing ideas that nobody conceptualized prior, you know what I mean? And also concepts because of his Latin American influences. You're playing something, when we played Alfred and Monty and say Everyone's a Wally, it was very much a British influence, wasn't it? Or School Days, the British thing. And here we are, someone down in, down way, thousands of miles away from the home of the Spectrum, someone creating games for it and loving it. I think that's fantastic. It's such a global
it is.
reach. Yeah.
And that's the reason I always get excited with these, like whether they're minis or maxis or any of these devices, because I'm really I get excited for other people that perhaps never had, would never have played the Spectrum, just taking a punt and then discovering the games that we grew up with. I mean, it was lovely. There's a YouTuber I follow called Gen X Grown Up. Lovely YouTube channel. Does mostly Atari stuff, but really knows his stuff. But he was like, trying Manic Miner for the first time, like a live stream, and he got quite far. Actually, did quite well because he played
better
it
than you then.
Before. Better than me. He played it solidly for a week, so he could get reasonably before he recorded, and it's just nice seeing like his appreciation and
brilliant
and loving the the color palette and things, because I do feel it, the Spectrum has got such a beautiful color palette. I mean, it's just I'm going to say it again. It's so vibrant and
Drink your drinks, folks.
Yeah.
Drink your drinks.
but you know, yeah. So I'm dead excited for that to come out. I'm even more excited, of course, next year Retro Games, because they gave like a timeline of future stuff they're doing. They're going to do an Amiga Maxi next year.
There we go. There's the one to get,
That's
isn't
me.
it?
That is as soon as I can pre-order that.
Well,
Yeah.
going back to the Spectrum there, obviously I knew about this way before it even leaked. And
Yeah, 'cause
not
it comes
that
with a Crash magazine.
that's
doesn't it?
right. It comes with a complimentary Crash magazine, and we wrote all the reviews for a number of the games featured. So we had to do, I
Yeah.
think it was about 12 reviews, if I remember correctly, which we done. And this must have been way back in January of this year that we done this. Now, I didn't sign NDS or anything like that, but there's this gentleman's agreement. Look, come on, you've been trusted in creating this freebie. You know what I mean? Don't disclose
It's
it.
good that it didn't leak. It's a
Yeah,
testament to you
it was
guys,
erupting. You know, there's so many times we're speaking about things like, ooh, you know,
Yeah.
but no, but it's funny. It remembers me of, and I'll digress. It's no Billy Connolly joke about the equilibrium of keeping a secret, right? And Billy Connolly once said that men can keep a secret, women can't, right? Now, I'm sure the feminists will be up in arms just now, but hold on, it's a good joke, right? Let's just enjoy a joke for being a joke. So he says, but to counterbalance the seesaw and the equilibrium of life of that, men can't hold in a fart, but women can. Okay? So if you want a woman to keep a secret, you whisper it up her arsehole.
Oh dear, we're back on the bad jokes already.
Oh, come on, it's a good joke. It's a classic
It's a
joke.
good joke.
So, yeah, there was so many times I was ready to just erupt when people were speaking about minis and whatnot.
Yeah,
and, you know, I was like, ooh, but no, I kept my mouth shut and it was good. But then it leaked and it's like, well, there's the scoop gone. Wouldn't it be good if Crash itself was be able to reveal
leak
it
it,
since we're part of it? But
Still, you're hopefully going to get loads. You know, you think every one of those devices
Right.
around the world is going to have the magazine that
Yes.
you've
I don't know
written,
if
and hopefully.
I don't know. I'm unsure because I don't have this information. I've just read it on social media. I think perhaps it from its UK distribution only may only have Crash magazine, but don't quote me on this. I actually don't know. I've only read this. I need to ask Chris. And I've
I
just
don't
not-
know. I think because it said on the box, so
It does say in the box, yes.
yeah. So I think that would be worldwide, wherever they're selling it, which
I
would make sense.
well, I
Obviously,
think-
the English-speaking world. I mean,
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I could simply just ask Chris, and I just never bothered. You know, it was an anecdotal conversation that someone who lived in Germany
Yeah.
saying the magazine isn't available, but who knows? I genuinely
Oh,
don't know.
maybe not. I don't know.
Can be
but-
information, but from what I gathered when we first created it, the impression I got was no, this was going to be a very big distribution because what this is all one for us retro heads purchasing it, and I may cancel it, may not. I'll probably just keep it because simply how important the rubber keyboard is for me that I want.
Oh, it's
that.
going to look great, isn't it?
gonna
Even
look
if even if you don't use it, I mean, just the Spectrum 48K is such a beautiful looking machine. I mean,
It is.
I mean, I've got Spectrum 48Ks that no longer work, sadly, but I've kept them because they just, at one time I'll put them on the wall or something.
That's
you know
exactly
I mean?
what I've got one for as well, just to
Yeah,
frame in
yeah.
a deep cast frame and put it on the wall. And I'll do that soon. I'll make my own frame for it. I'll do that when I get a moment.
But yes, yeah. Sorry, Colin. you
Yeah,
were saying.
but yeah, a lot of the marketing for this is not our inside retro scene like what we've got, the big community, the RGDS listeners, the Crash buyers, or the overall big scope of the retro scene. This is aiming for nostalgic dads that probably have everything, and they've mentioned about their gaming thing in the past, and they'll get this as a gift under the Christmas tree, and it's a curiosity for them, and deep nostalgia. Oh, I remember The Hobbit. I remember Jetpack, or well, it won't be Jetpack on it because you're never going to get
Yeah,
the
you won't get
license
the
for that
ultimate
one.
ones,
The
unfortunately,
Stamper Brothers, yeah. But all the other games that are on the Alfie the Zane Monty and such like, they'll have deep nostalgia for and connect with them. Many of them, unlike us retro people, you'll probably find that they'll play the games and they go, "What a lot of shite." That'll be it. But the potential for the distribution is incredible. It really is, and that's great to get the whole thing out there.
I think it'll do great, and you're right. It will open up, and that's why I always get excited with these devices. It's for the people that wouldn't normally buy a Spectrum device or just rekindling. I mean, even my sister was like interested because she's got fond memories of playing The Hobbit and things, and it's at that killer price, but it's not that much money these days to drop that amount of money, with what everything else costs.
It's a bit more disposable income level, isn't it? Now, I won't spoil the reviews that are inside the magazine, but I am very pleased because we reviewed classic games. Now, we rescored them on our own opinions. I'd never thought I'd get to go back and review
some of these classics,
the classics, right? I mean, there's because
they've announced them all. You're not gonna.
On the front cover, you can see that The Hobbit has been reviewed, right?
Yeah.
And all I can say is a lot of. It's only Paul and I, Paul. There's too many Pauls in my world, by the way. You're going to have to change your name, right?
I'm the Drisk.
Paul Davis from that dude. He doesn't like text adventures, so we can maybe guess who reviewed The Hobbit. That's all I can say.
Yes. Did you do all 48 games, or between you all? I'm not.
No, we've only done a dozen reviews. There's an overview, it says on the thing that all 48 games are covered. That's because I've not actually seen the fully compiled PDF yet. Yeah. There's going to be surprises to me. So yeah.
It's going to be awesome. I know. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, of course. The other thing that's come out, or just mentioned briefly, is the Atari are coming out the 7800 plus now, which is kind of cool.
What do you think of that?
Well, on the one hand, it sounds a little bit pointless because the 2600 plus takes 7800. It's the same hardware under the hood. So you're just getting a different case to the 2600 plus. So for those who don't know, the 2600 plus and the 7800 plus, what's cool with them, or you could say bad about them, depends. They're not open like it is on the retro games versions. You can't just stick a USB and play everything. But what you can do is that you can actually plug in real carts, which is kind of cool. So if you've got quite a few carts, it's kind of nice. And of course it's region free, which is important with 7800. But the reality is that apart from the different design, and although the 7800 looks gorgeous and therefore the 7800 plus looks gorgeous, the only real difference is the wireless pads that you get. They've made them wireless this time, but you can buy those separately, which is kind of cool. But I just like the fact that these things are available to us and people. It's nice that they're so and affordable. That too long companies like Analog have taken over the market with just like Ferrari level prices, isn't it? It's nice to have something more accessible.
Yeah. My good mate Rab, he's such an Atari aficionado and loves it dearly. He completed his entire PAL collection over the years. Yeah. After his ex-wife threw all his Atari collection in the skip. Remember that one I told you? So he swears by the 2600 plus that he is delighted this is a thing that came out that revitalised his ability to play all his Atari cartridges, and he plays them on a weekly basis. To him, they are his dearest games, and it's great. I hadn't seen him, and we lost touch a little bit. For a couple of years, just because of lockdown and so forth. And I actually met up with him about a month ago, and we had such an amazing retro chat about that whole period. And he's my only local retro friend to that depth. You know, it's like you've got Charlie, right? and it's good to have that. But you don't have. That's why we've connected as a network throughout the world as we do in the retro scene, because you like that level of engagement and conversation with friends, and it's good to have a local one. And we had a brilliant chat, and he was telling me all about the plus there and how much he enjoyed it, and you know how excited he was for the 7800 because it was quite an elusive console, to be honest. And he had moved on to the Commodore by that point.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, I mean, obviously it's just another 2600 plus in a different box, but I can understand if you love, you know, why you would buy both devices. You know, you don't have to, but it's kind of cool. Nevertheless,
because both of them support the
you
could
plug in a 70. Yeah, both support. I mean, you did. That was one of the things of the 2600 plus. You had to buy their 7800 pad that they did a little bit later on. And now you've got the wireless version of it. Yeah. But yeah, they're just peripherals that you could buy. Yeah, and finally, of course, our arcade club, as we mentioned, I'm really looking forward to.
I can't wait.
That was the first thing I did when I went for the interview for the new job. They were like, any holiday? I was like, well, none apart from the Friday, the 20th, isn't it? Because 21st is so. To our listeners or new people, you know, if you're in, well, it doesn't matter where you are based, but I mean, we do like a yearly meetup really in Bury near Manchester in the UK, and Arcade Club is like the biggest arcade venue in Europe. 4 floors. You pay on the door, something like is it 18 quid now or something like that on the door?
18 pounds now, yeah.
Yeah, £18, and then everything is free. And what I usually do is, because I go from Friday and then go in on the Sunday and, you know, stay as long as possible. What I tend to do is I pay the monthly, which is like something like 80 quid or something. But then you can go in and to the venues as many times as you want for a month, which is kind of cool.
I mean, if we lived in the vicinity of there, right, we'd need to be lifetime members, because it would be a hangout place. If you want to go to the pub, I'm going there, right?
Yeah.
So it would double as a pub, and I want some gaming time, you know. So you would just frequent it as much as you could. It's just a great place to be. I genuinely can't wait. Big turnout this year, more than
every year
ever
it seems
before.
to grow, and it's like such good guys and girls that, you know, that make it. It's just lovely group of people.
Well, I think you can class them as genuine friends. That's the
100%.
Apart from that bastard Turnbull that is competitive me in Moon Patrol, stuff him. He's not a friend.
Oh, he proofread me books, so he's my friend. He's brilliant. No, but everybody's so cool, and you know, if you're a listener or you're just hearing this for the first time and you think, oh, I'd like to join, there's no like things you need to do beforehand or anything.
No,
just literally,
not at all.
It's just you just get your ticket. It's not like an extra ticket from us. It's just go to the event. It's more of a case of, you know, it's a time when there's going to be loads of people that are like-minded and into retro games as much as you know, and turning up on the same day. So, so I'm really looking forward to that. It's on the Saturday the 21st is the actual meetup. Yep. But what because of the distance, a lot of people travel. We're going to meet up on, I'll be there, and I know King will be there, and loads of others on the 20th, Friday the 20th.
Yeah.
And then usually, for you guys, you don't do the Sunday because it's too far. Usually, some of us, there's usually a small contingent that, you know, go in at least till early afternoon.
You know what hacks me off, right? You're playing games, right? And we embark on our journey home.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you've had a great day again playing the fricking games. And then you text us, and we're still on the train. That's me, I had a great day, and I'm home, and the wife's made me dinner. Right? It's like, and we're still travelling. I'm waiting on my connection from Edinburgh
long way
to
for you
Fife.
guys, bless. Yeah. Well, one of the things I've discovered is I go by coach. You know, ever since the train strikes. that sort of got us to use the buses, and it's like 4 times cheaper, and it's a lot more like, you know, I've just never had, touch wood, any issues. You know, it arrives when it should, and it takes you home when it should.
I'd had to leave the night before if I was doing that in National Express up from Edinburgh or something. You know, it just doesn't
a bit
work.
far, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's fine. You know what? The train journey with the guys is good, and there's a few other guys coming this year, meeting us in Edinburgh as well. So even more fantastic. So I really can't wait. I'm totally excited. I always get excited, and everyone is kind of the same, because it's that feeling when you see all the familiar faces now, because we've all gotten to know each other. And that's not to put off any newcomers coming, because it isn't that. It's not like that at all. But
because there's newcomers every year.
There's newcomers every year, and they leave being friends. That's
and they come back the following year. Yeah, they're excited.
Yeah, but we're all strangers at one point. Even you and I, mate. You know, meeting for the first time. Yeah, so it just. Take the time, have a conversation with people. It's the most friendliest, chill out time ever. It really is. It's the highlight of the year. I will not deny that. It really is.
It is good. So everyone's welcome. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're regular listen to the podcast or not. You know, just if you want to join, just reach out to us on Discord, which is probably the best way.
Yeah.
And then which will be in the show notes, and then, you know, just so you can find out. But we all try to wear the RGDS t-shirts,
and they're blue in colour, so you can't miss us.
So at the very least you'll find one of us, and then they'll be able to like introduce you to everybody.
Yes, but you are under complete instruction to pronounce the reason you're down there in the meetup. Now, I'm going to tell a little story here. I'm not being homophobic or anything. It's just a true story, right? And it's more about other people's mindsets, not ours. Right, but anyway, we went down to Arcade Club, and I don't want to call it a greasy spoon, because that does an amazing place a disservice, but there's a lovely breakfast cafe we go to, and they always accommodate us without booking every year. They see us come in, and they shovel all the tables together, and they deliver the food, the breakfast, so fast. It's a really wonderful quick, place. Yeah. So there was
fantastic prices as well.
There was an older couple in there, crowds of people, you know, just... and there's a certain generation of gentlemen that are a bit less open-minded in life, shall we say. And they asked Drisky, because they saw all the T-shirts. What's the occasion? What are you all down for? I think we're going to say, we're down for a stag do.
Maybe I should say that next time.
Yeah, you better. So anyway, Drisky says, we're down for a gaming podcast meet-up. Right, and the man, we didn't twig. The guy got all twitchy and backed off, and it was like, you know, almost like doing crucifixes, like Drisky was Dracula. I was like, stay back, evil beast. Then we twigged. He thought Drisky said gay men meet up. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, right? And we didn't want to change the guy.
His reaction was
classic, it was hilarious. And they're all whispering in each other's ears. It's like, look at all these gay men all turning up. You know what? It made it even better that let them think that we don't need to correct them.
Well,
you know.
one of the listeners, he corrected, wasn't it? I can't remember who it was. Right, video games, right? Okay.
Oh dear. So anyway, that was a true story, a very true story,
and quite funny. Yeah. Anyway, shall we go on to the main show itself?
Yes, let's go. Right. I can't even remember what games we played now, what the topic is.
I know. So we thought we would go smaller scope this time, but no less enjoyable. And we thought, it's, you know what, the PC Engine, or TurboGrafx as it was known in everywhere apart from Japan, we haven't given it the love it deserves for the longest time, so let's go back to it. And you know, for those who perhaps don't know, with the PC Engine, I mean, it's an amazing device. I mean, in Japan, the PC Engine came out in end of October 1987. So you think that's like, that's when Nintendo, the NES was running full pelt, before your 16 bits. And as you'll see, like if you watch the video versions or, playthrough, I mean, the library was, the quality of graphics and sound was a lot better than what the NES could offer or any of the devices at the time. Now, in North America and Europe, you didn't actually see the device till August 1989, around about then. So it didn't have quite the same impact, because by then you had like the Mega Drive and the 16 bits come along. And they made bizarre choices with the packing games, which we'll come to. But overall, it's a device that most people, certainly in the UK, but most countries really outside of Japan, that they know, or they know very little about. But yeah, it just never had the same traction as these other machines. I mean, I think globally it sold about 5.62 million. But you also had the CD-ROM add-ons and the CD-ROMs, which was another 2 million. So it had this core base, but let's be honest, most of those were in Japan, and probably there was a core component in the US. Your real gamers gravitated towards it. But I certainly, I don't know about you. Did you know anybody who had a PC Engine or TurboGrafx back in the day?
Until emulation, I was utterly ignorant of its existence, to be honest, because when I was buying magazines at this period, I didn't read the classified. I would see import games, right? But I was so obsessed at this period with, say, RPGs, right, that they even thought, well, I'm not going to import a game from Japan that isn't in English. You know what I mean? I just loved heavy dialogue driven games, so there was no way on earth that this came under my radar. So in terms of classifieds, and it's a weird word. I mean, TurboGrafx explains something else. A PC Engine is such a weird name for something.
That's why they changed it, really.
It didn't explain what it was. It was
you think it's a personal computer, wouldn't you?
Yes, exactly. So, but for us, personal computers were very different things. So no, and until about the year, probably 1999, year 2000, that's when I first, when you were starting to download MAME, RAIN, PC, and then you came across PC Engine. And even at that point, to be honest, the ROMs that were readily available, because it's unlike now, there's, it's so easy to go on archive.org and download the whole entire list. That back then, you were downloading a ROM at a time on a 56k modem or whatever. And therefore, if you saw the obscure Japanese titles, you said, well, what am I downloading? I don't know what it is. So you only downloaded the arcade
ones
ports.
You recognise,
the ones you recognise. So even then, you're still not familiar with what it had to offer. It wasn't more until, I think, social media really exploded that people sang its praises, and you saw more things, and you went, right, I'm going to go back into this and delve deep. And really, over the last, I would say, 10 years, I have really grown a deep appreciation of how excellent this system is.
Oh, it is amazing system. I mean, very similar. I mean, I knew of it because you'd sort of see like reviews in like Mean Machines and those sort of magazines.
That's the thing. You would buy multi-format magazines, right? I was such a fanboy at that period that I would only buy for Nintendo and fuck off everybody else, you know what I mean?
But it was kind of weird why I did that. I mean, it was because, I didn't own even like consoles back in, I would just have my Amiga and things, but I was, I guess, just interesting in knowing, reading the articles and knowing all about games. I've always been interested in the whole thing, even if I couldn't afford these systems. But yeah, I mean, it was probably like you. I mean, I think when it really hit home was when you had the Magic Engine emulator, which you had to pay for. It was one of the first ones that I ever came across where you actually paid. But I was so blown away with this new world of gaming that was open to me. I didn't mind. It was like, here's my money, and and I did my usual voyage of discovery. And then since then, I've bought myself a TurboGrafx. I own one, and I've got an EverDrive because one of the things that with the TurboGrafx is it's not region free. So you're really limited. So the EverDrive was really important to really open up the library because so many Japanese games and the games are really expensive. So that's how I've done it. But I mean, as you say, these days you've got like RetroArch and you've got the core. I think I use Beetle as the core, the PC Engine.
That's a good core. That is very good.
It's a good core. I mean, it runs it perfectly. I've not had any issues with it, and that's what I use these days.
I use Utake emulator on the PC.
I've not tried anything dedicated. I guess it's just because through RetroArch, it's kind of.
I know it's very convenient, but I just. And I know you can go deep in the core and start doing the tweaking. I am just such an old school sucker for bespoke emulators dedicated to a system that has more sub options than you can to really try and just make it look like you're playing it on a CRT. And but RetroArch does that. You get great filters to give good overlays, good curvatures, good bloom, and so there's no wrong way to do it. I'm blown.
I just love the fact that it's got like cheats integrated and and obviously being able to do save states at a key press. I know most emulators do it, but
here's a question I'm probably more ignorant of, and I'm asking yourself. Why on most emulators for the PC Engine do they offer the rewind feature? Where you're about to die and you fuck up in a game. And I think that it allows high score cheaters to cheat even more, if you know what I mean, because, I died there, wind back 3 seconds, But, I mean, I take it, and it is showing my ignorance of the system. The system itself didn't offer that feature. I'm very much ashamed.
No.
But every emulator I'm coming across for the PC Engine, I think it's for people to perfect as a system for the caravan mode games, which are fantastic, right?
Oh, yeah.
That maybe it's just to help them on the emulators perfect their score, but it seems to be that these emulators offer that feature more than any other system.
I don't know. I mean, most emulators do it these days, isn't it? And of course, like RetroArch does it on all the systems. But,
does it? Right. Okay.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, you sort of need it because some of these games can be like rock hard.
Indeed.
But yeah. I mean, we thought for the episode. Because the two genres that PC Engine is best known for, well, actually, there's 3 areas that PC Engine is best known for, and we wanted to avoid all 3 because they're really well covered. So one is shooters. The PC Engine shooter library is amazing. Absolutely. It really is probably one of the best systems out there for shooters. The other thing it's known for is your versus fighter games.
What is shite?
Amazing fighters.
Not
really our sort of like area,
no, they're shite.
But...
Come on, let's say them. Just to annoy Rick, they're shite. Everybody knows I'm being facetious.
Yeah, and the third thing is arcade ports, and they're amazing. I mean, some of the ones like Outrun and things. It was the best until the Sega Saturn came along. It was the best way to play Outrun in the home, and you could say that about countless others.
Yeah.
But we wanted to avoid all 3 of those and just look at, because those games always get covered. We wanted to look at 6 games, and boy, I'm hoping we could do several episodes of this down the line because there's so many more games I could think of. But we between the 2 of us, we decided on 6 games that I think gives a nice range of different of the other genres to enjoy, and hopefully you'll really enjoy them. So shall we without further ado sort of work our way through the games?
Absolutely.
Right, as you heard with that natty little music, we have the first game, which is Shockman. This is, well, what can you say? This sort of came out, and actually, when did this one come out?
1992.
1992, yeah. So, well, I've got it down in 1991. Is it 1992?
Not with Japan. I
in the
suppose
US
depends.
one,
Yeah, North
yeah,
American,
yeah.
but yeah, it would have been 1991. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, so Shockman's actually technically a sequel. In Japan, it was known as Kaizo Chojin Bidden Man 2.
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's Shu Bidden Man was obviously the first game, which came out in 1989. So this unlike the first one, which was your school kids, you could play either well, in Japan it's Tatsuki or Kuyapiko, and in the US markets and the Western markets they changed it to Arnold and Sonia, and but really, what is it? It's a really, really good sort of, I want to say Mega Man. I got a lot of Mega Man vibes.
Absolutely. Absolutely, mate.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's got some convoluted plot. I mean, I'll let Kingy describe it, but and then go into a bit of the description of the game.
Right. So obviously it continues the story, but for the Western market, it's a brand new game. So that's the weird thing is it's trying to create a plot that is a continuation for the fan base, but at the same time make it sound fresh and new. So you're right, it's a convoluted, boring. Who's interested in the story? But basically, the main character is a school student. That's the thing, and you got the evil overlord that comes. I mean, even though it's a new enemy comes in place, right? And so you got this student. He's left and he's working as a cook in a local restaurant now. And so they follow Dark Skull in the first game, but there's things that have all happened and since then. So there's two dark creatures that start appearing in this one out to kill the boy and girl, basically. And it is much of the same game, but what they've taken away, the difference between the first game, well, graphically it's had a huge improvement and visually is a lot more impressive, right? But the first game is a close contact sword slashing game, whereas this one is more like Mega Man, where you're blasting anybody in the distance, which changes the dynamic of the game. Now, not only can you blast horizontally, but you can blast vertically above you as well. But I just find that this has refined it and made it a far better game. They've listened to all what you would think is they've listened to all the criticism, the comments, and positive and negative on it, and delivered a definitive version of the game. Hence the reason of almost a reboot, I suppose you can, for the Western market to make it more appealing to them. And what you've got then is such an incredible game, which is a run and gun action platformer, but in between each section you have a good shoot 'em up. It's really good. So you could be running along, blast. I mean, what I like about it, let me wind back a little bit. The game just begins without really any introduction. Right? It's a bit like a Hollywood movie with a prelude before the starting credits, and that's exactly what happens in the game. And all of a sudden, this is Shockman title appears, and then you can start properly playing the game. So you're running across, jumping on buildings, moving across, blasting the bad guys. Then the next level, you're leaping across the rooftops, and buildings are crumbling, so you can only stay on top of them long.
That took me a while to get used to.
It was quite tricky. It's almost a boss. It is a boss fight there because there's a big sort of skeletal dragon thing that you're fighting. And then you move on, and there's a brilliant underwater shoot 'em up that is not quite in the hunt, but
things are moving so fast.
Yes.
I kept on saying, just when you think this was when this came out, and when the machine came out, it's like, how is this throwing around sprites at this speed? It's amazing.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and huge sprites as well. You know.
Really huge sprites.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. You said earlier on is the watched and observed Mega Man here, and but to be honest, I like it better than Mega Man personally. There's so
Yeah.
much going on that there's just subtle things on the levels. I mean, aside from like I always said, rooftop crumblings, okay. Then you've got the submarine section. The same craft, even though it's kind of does look like a submarine, looks like Captain Nemo's ship. It moves on to space and other shoot 'em ups, but it's the same ship. So each subsection is really good. But there's a sewer section where the sewer water's all running along, and there's platforms that are all collapsing as well. You know, the usual timing thing where they flop down and flop back up, so you have to manage your timing. There's beautiful skyline sections, the clouds all drifting by, and yeah, obviously another shoot 'em up section. There's obviously a continuing story to read, you know, very not, I'm not saying at RPG level, but there's just that usual one where you see the characters' heads and faces, and it's dialogue driven just to give a story a bit of narrative.
But it does
as you
never
go along.
outstays its welcome. And
Oh,
somebody
no,
doesn't like
not
its
at all.
dialogue.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Some levels are vertical, they're not horizontal. So there's so much going on that it's a deeply satisfying game. And I remember coming across this, it must be a couple of years ago now. And I just found, I personally thought, even though it's difficult, but I know Mega Man is notoriously difficult, I found this more accessible than the very game that influenced it.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's one of those, with Mega Man, it's knowing patterns. This, you've got to know patterns, but you can
Yeah.
sort of blast your way through it. You certainly get better as you go on, which was always good to see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I was really impressed with this. I knew of it, but I'd not really sat down and properly sat down with it. So I was really thankful you putting this in the list, really, because it was really, really enjoyable sort of playing through. And as I say, it's one that I got about as far as I could in the time. I got pretty far through it, several levels down, but yeah, I just every boss level is really impressive. Huge sprites. I mean, technical marvel what they're achieving. And you say the shoot 'em up levels are equally really, really good. And whether it's in space or in the sky or submarines, there's wonderful parallax going on. There's loads of enemies flying about, and just a really good advertisement for the machine. And it fries my brain that these sort of games, what if they'd put more effort to try and get these games to people, I think the machine would have done a lot better in the Western markets.
You never see
did
these,
fantastically well in the Japanese market, of course.
Oh, good for them, but you never see these kind of things in collections on modern day consoles either, do you?
No, as I say, it's I would love. I mean, loads of the PC Engine games I would love to see. Whether it's the Bonks collection. I mean, we've got the Wonder Boy collection. Where's the Bonks collection? There is so many wonderful games on the PC Engine, and that's one thing. As we go through them, these are, I think, 6 really good games to sort of play that we're going to be covering. But hopefully, it will encourage our listeners, if you've not dived into the PC Engine, dive into the other games, because between Kingy and me, and many of our listeners, I could guarantee we could name, even sidestepping the shoot 'em ups and the fighters, like we say, like at least 20 more games that you just have to play.
It's infinite. I go back to this system time and time again, and I'll choose games that I don't recognise that title, and I'll fire it up and go, bloody hell, this is excellent, absolutely excellent. I can't even confess to be an amateur on a system. I just know the games I played, and that's all I know.
Yeah, no, and I wouldn't profess to be like a out and out expert or anything. I mean, for me, it's been I often do my Voyager discoveries where I go through every single game, and then the ones that I love play more. But of course, the downside with that is things like with Shockman, I knew of it, thought this is a good game, but I put it on my list to go back to, but never quite got back, got the time to go back and give it a proper complete playthrough. So great way to start. Great choice. This was Kingy's shout, and really, really good. I definitely recommend it all the way through to the end, particularly if you love, as I say, you love those sort of Mega Man games and looking for something more as well. Yeah, awesome. So should we go on to the next game? Any more you want to say about that?
No, I'm good there. What's on your list next?
Well, as you heard with that fantastic music, and it is amazing music, it is Legendary Axe, came out in 1988. This was done by Musical Industries, and it was published by them along with NEC in the US. This is brilliant. If you love your Rastan vibes, this was their kind of answer to Rastan and those sort of games, isn't it? But I think it's one of the best of its type. This time you're sort of like a loincloth wearing sort of barbarian with an axe, and you go around chopping up the varieties of enemies, but it's got amazing music running in the background. The graphics, that maybe it's not the prettiest thing, but they have a certain charm. But it's just the gameplay for me. I mean, you right at the beginning you come up against like this pretty huge spider, and you're like lopping off his limbs, and it's like, I mean, I can imagine 1988. I mean, this would have blown me away in 1988, and I know it came later in America, but I just thought it's really, really good with this one. I mean, what did you think with this one?
Yeah, I mean, I know this game well, and this is, if you take, as you said, Rastan, and also this is PC Engine's answer to Castlevania, to be honest, as well. On top of that, it is absolutely fantastic to play. I was hooked on this. I've not played it for quite a long while, to be honest, a ridiculous period of time, and to fire this up, I had to drag myself off it. I was really, really enjoying it. I mean, very simple premise. His girlfriend's been kidnapped, so you must rescue her. Me man, me must rescue woman. But who needs a premise in a game like this? It's just kill all the bad guys in the way. And what's good about it is it's not just an action game. It is, action platformer. So it's what you expect. There's things to bound upon, things to hack. But what I enjoyed about this one was there's a strength bar, not just your energy, and that increases, and if you time your attacks, it's more impact on the bad guys, so you can repeatedly tap fire and it's just the weakest attack. But if you rhythmically wait on that progress bar increasing again, energy bar for it, then you need to rely upon that, because when you're fighting the bosses, and there's many bosses, I mean, especially the first level, you've got the teddy bear's picnic coming to coming to attack you. Two bears come to you, Yogi and
they don't look very friendly.
Hey boo boo, I've got myself a picnic basket. You need to wait on that energy bar getting up, or they'll just start clawing you. That's the point. But I mean, there's a hell of a lot of bats and butterflies in this game. I don't know what that's about, but they just seem to get in the way.
They're a pain, they're a pain, because the amount of times you make a jump and then you get hit by one.
They knock you backwards as well. That's the problem with them, aren't they? So
that's how I lost a lot of my life. But it took me a while to realise as you say, that the planning the strength, because and then when I did realise, I still struggled, because in the panic you were like, well,
Oh, you do. You go back to old arcade habits. That's the point, But there is a slight strategy to the game, especially on that second level. The rolling boulders where you have to leap on the rope to.
yeah.
Oh, the amount of times the first boulder's fine, but that green one is infuriating. It's trying to time it and swing over the rope, come down, hack it back in the rope, and get into a. But it's a rhythmic pattern you need to get into in all the boss fights. But it really is fantastic. And I've never played, even though I've played the game, I've never played it as far as I have now. It was the right time, and I was in the right mood, because I was actually, to be honest, playing a lot of Raston off recent on my arcade card, because I just love the game. But I'm shit at it. I find Raston quite a difficult game to play. I get so far and then I just continuously die. This one, I was getting the hang of it, getting further, just and enjoying the differences in each of the level design. The rope is quite hilarious. It's not like, Jungle Hunt, Jungle King, whatever you want to call it, swing. It just kind of moves in a
weird, floating, isn't it? Almost?
Yeah. It's always pointing vertically down. It doesn't have a sine wave or whatever you want to call it to it. It's just simple graphical techniques to the game, but visually, still, as you said, it's not the best looking PC Engine game in this episode. And I'm not saying they're functional graphics either. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. Would you say?
But it's got its own art. It's got its own art style. But the thing is, the characters. There's a lot of charm to the character designs that really sort of work. I love, even like the rock monsters look a bit functional, but it's great. I mean, they ducking down with the axe. You learn quickly to duck down from their punches and sort of play through. And I mean, I really love this. I thought it was. I mean, it does have frustrating elements. There was many times when I mistimed jumps, and then but that's sort of part of the course. But you're right. I mean, it's one that I just wanted to keep on playing. I had to pull myself away from this one because I was really enjoying it, but mindful we didn't have, because this was quite a quick turnaround show. We didn't have a lot of time to play all the games as much as we wanted. So so this one I had to really pull myself away. But I'm really looking forward to going back and giving this more of a go, because I'm like you. It's sort of like I've played it in the past because I love my Rastan and these sort of games, but it's been one that it's been a long time since I've gone back to play properly, and and I'm with you. Going back to the original sort of thing you were saying, is that I don't understand why so many. I mean, I know a few of these titles made it to the when it was a Wii Virtual Console. But of course, that's a defunct platform now, isn't it? The Wii Virtual Console. So it's like it's such a shame that so many of these games just never made it to like all the modern modern machines and things. There's so many games locked away, and it's a real shame. And of course, the designers behind this was Takahiro Takamori, who did. He did lots of games, but probably Avenging Spirits, he did that one, and 64th Detective Story, he was also on that. But the real designer that's behind it that I love is Keisuke Abe. So he's the creator of Bonk. He's the one who designed Bonk as a character. And of course, the Tempo games that we've discussed, and Super Tempo. I don't think I ever got you to do the Sega Saturn Super Tempo, did I? I got you to do the Tempo on the 32X.
That's right.
I remember doing the 32X episode. But yeah, I think his games are amazing. He's one of my favourite designers, certainly up there. And again, he's like, these two designers have knocked it out of the park with a really playable game. Just as an aside, what did you think of the sequel? Because I was quite disappointed when I thought I'd give it a quick go.
It's okay, but it doesn't have the same impact as the first one does, to be honest. The first one got everything right. The trouble with the second one, graphically, I don't think it's...
No, it's got a different visual style. I mean, you could argue it's the prettier graphics, but I actually prefer the graphics of this one. Now, a lot of... I mean, one of the reasons I was asking is because a lot of the... when you read, like, lots of sites, they all say that the second one is a better game. But I tried both, and I found I was enjoying this more than the sequel. Totally different teams, you see.
I don't like the graphics, I don't like the look, right? I mean, he's more Conan the Barbarian in the second one, right?
Yeah.
Running about with an even tighter loincloth and a more muscular body. I mean, I always wondered about these games, when these ones, if I'm going on a revenge mission or a, Hell Hath No Fury mission, I'm not going to run about barefoot. I'm going to have a pair of Doc Martens on, maybe even steel toe-cap Doc Martens, because when I'm going to kick shout at someone, like, they're going to feel the pain. I mean, what if he stood in a dog shit or something in the bare feet? That would just put him off his mission. It would sit between his toes, and that would be the end of it. Game over. I don't like it. I really don't. I don't think the graphics are better, personally.
No,
some of the level designs
way,
okay. I like it, but it's just a bit naff, to be honest.
But this one certainly is. It's a real classic. It's one that I couldn't pull myself away from. It's got a nice variety of levels and enemies. You're always coming up against something new, which is always nice. Doesn't reuse sprites that much, and it's quite a long game. I say a long game. It's like a 40-minute game, but for the period, it's long.
That was hours back in our day. That was
it
weeks
certainly
and
takes
months
me
and
hours.
years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's like that's as a crow's flies, like 40 minutes. If you know what you're doing in every pattern. Not including all the deaths, but I really love this one. I think the music as well.
Music's pretty decent, isn't it?
Yeah, really, really good. I think it was Toshiaka Takamoto. He did that. He did like ones I love on. He did this Saturn Bomberman music as well, and a lot of the Bomberman music actually. So, yeah, just really, really talented team, and it's amazing, isn't it? How many of these games just locked away on a device that a lot of people it passed them by on, and that's why again we urge our listeners to explore all these platforms. I mean, I've never, I know we said this before, but I've never understood and I don't criticise somebody for this if that's the way they want, but I've never understood it personally when someone says, oh, no, I didn't play that as a kid, I don't want to try it.
I mean, if they want
on
direct
a platform.
I mean, perhaps as people looking for direct nostalgia, for me, I mean, I just love sprites. I don't like games with vector art. They really annoy me. I've tried them, and most of them really do annoy me. The only one that doesn't, I mean, you've got the amazing sort of, cell art of... why is my brain not working?
Because you're out partying in Glasgow.
Yeah, it's the boss fight game in the 1930s cartoon style graphics.
Oh, Cuphead.
Cuphead, yeah. Yeah,
I love that game, yeah.
I mean, unless it's games like Cuphead, right, with phenomenal artistic direction and style, sprite work always remains the best style of games for me.
100%,
right?
yeah,
Always does. And when I get explained about a style of game and a genre of game that is an old system that is sprite driven, I'm all for it. I'm in there. I'll give that a try because I'm excited about it. I just love the aesthetics and look and purpose of sprites.
No, I'm totally with you. I think it's and this is a fun game and well worth people sort of like playing.
Absolutely.
Right, so we go on to the next game then.
Yeah, what have we got on the list now, my good sir?
Yeah, well, I thought we've done a few platform ones. Let's mix up the genres a bit. and let's hear the music. Okay, nice little natty tune there. This is a real cute one. It is Victory Run. It's a really early title. In Japan, it came out in 1987, so it's pretty much not quite a launch title, but just like a few months later. And it's done by Hudson Soft. And obviously, you got a US release version in 1989. It was pretty much a launch title for the American and Europe release, and I really like this Victory Run. It's a racing game unique to the platform. Does the Paris-Dakar rally basically? So you go from Paris all the way. Is it 13,000 kilometers or whatever it is? And,
madness, absolute madness.
Yeah. And it's kind of a bit like Outrun. It's got sprite scaling. I mean, it's one thing that the PC Engine did really, really well with, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But unlike a lot of the others, which, of course, were great arcade versions, this was one that was unique to the platform. It was an original title. And it's kind of weird, sort of like... playing it, because the car, it's almost like all the other sprites are too big, isn't it? You're this little car.
Right, I'll score that one out my notes. You go on.
Well, you're like this little C5, aren't you? You're like
it's fine.
smaller.
They're fine in the distance, but they're almost the same size as your car. And the time they come up to you, they're massive.
Massive, yeah.
And you're trying to, especially the big truck ones, right? You're trying to avoid them. They're taking up half the bloody road.
I know. It's particularly when the motorbikes go past you, because you're how are they bigger than me? But
it's a puppet. Right,
but that aside, I mean, it runs at a cracking pace. It is difficult, as you say, because really you're just like avoiding all the vehicles, and that's the difficult bit, really. Unlike Outrun, I've seen a lot of people say it was an Outrun clone. It's not really, because Outrun's more about the track and avoiding the vehicles. This is really avoiding the other vehicles, isn't it? The track is almost irrelevant.
I mean, we can all go back to origins of any game, Paul, right? And I mean, I played Sega's Turbo before Outrun, and when I was playing Outrun, I saw elements of that. So, we can't just say something's always necessarily a direct clone. Yes, Outrun completely commercialised it and popularised it, but I think it's got its own unique features. It's got a bit too much Sky, would I say the game has. You know what I mean? It's massive. The top half of the game is just off nothingness. No, I'm not saying that. There's a huge visual impact it gives the illusion of the Paris to Dakar thing. So you're starting in Europe and going to Africa, right?
Yeah.
Going over the places. And what I like is, firstly, the day and night cycle in the game, which is incredible how the transition of that happens. And then the clouds, and even there's night clouds, there's day clouds, there's mountain ranges, there's everything happening again. They give you this real sense of proper progression and, a journey. There's a real journey in this that I think it captures the vibe of almost the romance side of that kind of racing, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. No, and you're right. It's just got lots of touches. It's nice, as you say, that sort of The way it sort of goes from place to place, the day-night cycle, like you're saying. I love the fact that you got the gear system works pretty well as well. You have to do
it
gears.
took a bit to get used up because
Yeah, it was
obviously
easy to keep changing the wrong gear, isn't it?
yeah, because you have to use it up and down in the D-pad to change the gear. It's not high and low. There's 4 gears.
Yeah, the thing is, it's quite nicely visually depicted at the top. So
Yeah.
you've got the gate. So
You see
once
it,
you got used to it, it wasn't that bad, and I quickly got used to it.
What makes this game more unique is the fact that there is a deterioration system in the game. So prior to you beginning the race from Paris, you have so many points, credits, to decide on tyres, gearboxes, suspension, etc. Now, how this works is there's a dynamic feature to the game. Depends on how you drive, depends on the wear and tear on the parts. So if you hit potholes or go off the road a lot, or always have to keep changing the gears, it has an effect on those systems. So you have to choose wisely. So it's a bit like Monty Mole's Freedom Kit, if you want to, or the escape kit on the Great Escape. Going back to those games where you need to know basically how you play this game. If you're a gear changer, stock up in gears. If you are a crap driver and hit potholes, bloody buy suspension, right?
So I didn't bother buying any brakes. I was like, I don't need that.
Who needs brakes? Exactly, mate. But it incredibly works. It really does, because when you run out of it, it goes green in the icon tabs at the top of the screen. And I thought, this is a really nice touch. There's a strategy element to the game that just makes it that much more different than an arcade racer. But that is dependent on how do you know your style when you're playing this game. So you want to go 2-2-2-2-2 across the board, don't you? Even Stevens. I'll be a couple of that. What's
Apart
the
from
worst
break, I know me.
Yeah, 220222. Okay, right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really nice touch in this game.
It gave a nice little touch. I really quite like this. I mean, it's not like a classic, but it's, it got quite average reviews back
It's
in the
fun.
day, but it's fun, and it's like certainly one that I enjoyed my time with and going back to, and just a very small car.
It's very small.
It's I guess it's it's like one of those EEV cars, isn't it? You get like the Citroen Amy and things like that, the Microlino.
Yeah.
It's like one of those. But no, I need to get a bit further with it. I'd get so many checkpoints in and then run out of time, which is of course immediate game over. But I had a blast. It's one that I always love discovering new racers and sprite racers in particular.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah. So this is one that I knew of again, but I hadn't really sat down and put serious hours into it, which was nice. It was nice to do it for the podcast and really enjoy. I mean, I guess there's not a lot more you can say to that. There's not more complexity really, other than you say the nice touch of changing the parts that go red.
No, I mean, it is what you expect in a scalar racer, if we want to call it that. And people, I just urge all the listeners or viewers on the YouTube channel of this they'll see it as we speak, of the scaling issues of proportion sizes in the game, but it's hilarious. It makes it, once you get used to it,
Gets to the charm, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can imagine like the artist who's done all these lovely art, and it's like, I put it all together. But gone were the days where you could easily fix things like that if you'd spent ages drawing it.
Yeah.
So, but I guess they were going for like the Chorokyu, like, you know, the art style where it's little cars and things. But Japanese love that, don't they? But no, I was certainly impressed how quickly it runs. I mean, you could see why the PC Engine just knocked it out of the park.
Oh, it
with
runs
these
at a great
arcade
speed.
ports.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, really, really playable. I mean, I would have been blown away. And this came out on the Amiga or something. It would have been an all-time classic. It really would have.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. It certainly did. The racing a lot better than what you had on the NES and the competitors at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you got to like the SNES, really. I mean, I think it's for speed. It really shows what it can.
It holds its own, yeah.
Any more you want to say about this one before we go on
I'm all
to the next
good.
one? Right, as you heard with that music there, it is Keith Courage in the Alpha Zones, to give it its US title. And it this was a launch title in North America. It was actually the pack-in game that people got. Rather a strange choice, some might argue, with it being a pack-in choice, just purely because it was so Japanese in its ethos and its...
Yeah.
So Japanese in its ethos, and it's an interesting one, but not well loved in terms of reviews, and I saw a lot of people finding it rather average. But
Okay.
I quite liked it, but I'm going to go past it to you because this was one of your other choices.
It is, and the reason I chose this is PC Engine's answer to Wonder Boy in Monsterland. Right now, so you play Keith Courage, right, and the Earth has been struck with this massive meteor, and a whole alien invasion is taken over on the back of this thing. So they have burrowed deep within the Earth's core. Bad as the enemies are called. Beastly alien dudes, as the acronym spells it out. And so it's Keith's job to say, go ni no data, as they say. It's not happening. It's not happening. So here's a sword, just a little short, tiny sword, and you must stop these bad guys from, taking over. But like the aforementioned Wonder Boy in Monsterland series, once you whack the bad guys, there's weird, cutesy, weird mole things and all that running about. It's a bit strange. It's weird because there's evil, malicious-looking bad guys, and there's cutesy ones. So it's hard to differentiate what the game's trying to say. You know what I mean? It's like, who are the foe and who are the friends in this world? Is there anything explaining the world he lives in versus the world of the invading forces? I think that's where the failing of the game does happen. So I can understand some of the criticism that I've read about it. But you pick up gold from killing the bad guys, and you go into the shops to buy power-ups, so you can upgrade your sword that's elongated a bit longer. The game is split into two halves. Keith's in his civilian clothes in the overworld. He gets to the end, he goes in a little pagoda thing, and there's a rainbow bridge that teleports him, and he goes into his mech suit, and the game runs at twice as fast. Actually,
yeah, I prefer those sections. With
exactly. The Keith sections are just a bit too slow and a bit too subdued in that way. But I think it's a pretty decent game. I think the platform elements, the bad guys that appear, is all pretty decent. I think graphically it's nice as well.
I like the rainbow bridge. That was really nice, and it's a little stiff. So the boys sections are a little stiff in the jumping and things. It's obviously a lot smoother, but I still had a lot. The only other criticism I would personally give is a lot of the enemies are like quite weedy looking, and I mean some of them are quite cool. I love the heads with the walk with the big gun that shoots.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't understand the levels of hate. But then I guess it is. I will say it's a weird packing game to put into the. You can see with decisions like that why NEC didn't have the success with the PC Engine. If you're putting, you've got like the Mega Drive putting Sonic, and you've got like Super Mario World.
Yeah.
And then you've got this as a packing game. You're like, what were they thinking? Particularly when you've got like Bonk, like one of the most lovable platform characters that they could have. Yeah, so many other better choices. And this is a Hudson Soft game as well, isn't it? So it's not like it's. They obviously had the relationship, the NEC with Hudson Soft, as most of the games were Hudson Soft. So it's like, yeah, strange choices, but I did enjoy this actually. I didn't quite get the level of hate. One thing, it might be me being thick, but I was weird. Because I picked up the shock bombs, and then I couldn't. Every button I pressed, I couldn't use it, and then I switched it to the 6 button.
Yes,
and it worked, but with RetroArch it sort of spazzed out. It couldn't. The graphically it spazzed out when I put it to 6 button. So, I mean that was probably the emulator.
Yeah, because I first initially played it on my arcade cab. It was on the Pi there, and yeah, I couldn't get that working. So that's what made me go back on the PC and fire up the local emulator. Yeah, the different emulator, and I had to map a 6 button pad to get it working for whatever reason. But I don't know what is the.
But that's a really bad mistake, isn't it? What I'm talking about is that, so your packing game would have had a controller for a 2 button, because on launch it was a 2 button controller, and you pack in a game that doesn't work unless doesn't do all the functions unless you get a 6 button controller. What were NEC thinking? It's just mad.
It's strange. It's strange.
Yeah.
But it's not the best weapon anyway, so it's not that much to worry about.
It became a thing where I was desperate to use it because I was trying to see, but it was like, But no, I really. I
mean, what do you think of the graphics in general on this one then?
Graphically, I didn't have a problem. The enemies I thought were a bit uninspired. Too often. I mean, for every good one, there was just like, why have you got these little tiny... Everything was very tiny, with a lot of the enemies. Didn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
Some of the things, I mean, we're all used to this anyway for the era, but there were too many, like, auto... you kill a monster and it reappears. And respawning. Of course, that was a way of getting lots of money, but overall, I had a blast with it. I thought the jump was a little stiff, but you did get used to it. I mean, it wasn't awful. It just brought back memories of those games that we used to play in the early days on the Spectrum and things like that. You know what I mean? I mean, nothing. I mean, it would never be this visually graphical, moving as fast, but that stiffness of the jump, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
The early early Amiga games, probably a better example as well. So, I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, what did you? I mean, obviously you chose it, so you must be quite.
Yeah, it sold to me because of any kind of RPG light game which it has going at the shops and that. It always sells it to me that there's elements of the aforementioned Wonder Boy in it. So that's why I really liked it. I always had a shine for games like this. I'm not saying it's without its flaws, but there's just something magical to me about it that because I can play it and I'm quite good at it. You know what I mean? I can progress quite far. So when there's games you can be quite adept at, and you progress far and you can see everything that's on offer, you go, you actually start enjoying the game for what it is. But I went back retrospectively and read the reviews and went, okay, I get what you're saying there. I really I appreciate the criticism.
Yeah. Yeah, I sort of agree with everything you said, but it is still fun. I mean, nobody gave it it was like average was the percentages, really, wasn't it? It was just an average game, which I kind of get that, but no, I had a lot of fun with it, and although I did had to re-record the whole thing because I played through for like a while, and then I discovered quite late on that you can go in the shop. I was walking past all the because obviously you got all those like doors. I just assumed the first playthrough it was part of the scenery, so I was walking happily past all these places. But it's nice variety to the levels. I quite like some of the end level bosses. It's one that I definitely want to go back to and play some more. Yeah, but cool. Good one. And but yeah, definitely weird packing. I think they should have. I can see with decisions like that why it didn't really have the same success outside of Japan. Right, shall we go on to the next game then? As you heard with the music there, this is I love this game. And it's another genre as well. I wanted to mix up the genres. This is Boxy Boy. It's was published by NEC, or also the Media Rings also published, but it's developed by Thinking Rabbit Incorporated, who of course probably better known for their essentially the same game, the Sokoban. They did those games, which a lot of people know. So what is that? If you don't know what the Sokoban is, it's a puzzle game where you're pushing essentially boxes around to the dots on the screen, and that's it. So it starts off very easy. You're just sort of like, just push your way through. It gives you a password, so you don't have to do that puzzle again. But then it quickly gets more progressive. And you have to think a bit harder. You can't just simply push the boxes anywhere. But I really like this one. I always have, ever since I discovered with the PC Engine. So much so I actually own this, even though it was Japanese. And that's when I discovered my TurboGrafx wasn't region free. So much for reading, but I loved it enough that I bought it. I love the music. I think graphically it's beautiful for what it does. For me, it's by far my favourite box pushing game. The puzzles are really good. I adore this. I mean, and of course it's nice. There's nice elements for life where you're able to rewind your moves, so you don't have to restart the whole thing, or you can restart. It's not penalising you all too much for restarting things. I think it's one, and there's nice variety with the music and things. Like you start off with like the US, but you go to then other places like Egypt and places and different parts of the world. So there's that element. I mean, what do you think of this one?
Oh dear, Paul. Where to begin with this game?
Not a fan, I guess.
I think these games are boring as shit. I really do. They do nothing. Why did you choose this? I'm sorry, but I would have been. I know we can be a bit more dismissive because these kind of games are more simplified in the mobile phone era now, right? But even going back to thinking in the mindset that this existed in this period in time, I would never in a million years have purchased a game that was just so repetitive. Yes, it taxes the mind. Yes, you have to think. But I'd rather just play chess and think of advanced strategies and how I was going to move pieces on the board. This, it never has. I absolutely detest Shockman as a genre. I'm sorry, but...
That's fine if it's not for you. I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go into the positives, like what you said. There's little lovely cutscenes and animations. The graphics are really nice, really done well. The music is really good as well. It's a tight game. There's so many levels, and it plays like an arcade game. It really does. But no, not at all. It's just
If you don't like the idea of pushing boxes, this isn't for you. But
I don't mind it as a concept in a game to solve a puzzle, and you've come across them in Zelda, for goodness sake. You've come across them in everything you've ever played, because it's such an influential concept. I get that and respect that, but hours and hours and hours of pushing crates onto the target dots and try to figure out, why would you want to play that? Seriously, it's a genuine question I give to you. Why is that fun?
I love puzzle games.
I love puzzle games, but that's not a puzzle game.
Oh,
that
it is.
Mundanity.
You've not played it enough. When you get some of the later levels, you'll really scratch.
I do. I went on and I get to the point I can't be arsed even.
Yeah.
I'm not interested.
I mean, if it's not for you, I mean, I've always loved I love any kind of puzzle game, but I've always liked the puzzle pushing block.
I think for me, I like the puzzle games that think outside the box and give you something different. It's like when Tetris came out. Tetris, it was fantastic, and all of a sudden, then you got 1,000,001 different variants of it. It's like, it's still Tetris. You're kind of like that. And because I've seen so much Shockman elements forever, that it was just Shockman. I've had to review them in Crash Magazine, and my tone's still the same. It's like, it's just another.
Oh no, I get it. I mean, to be honest, I was sort of spoiled where this was like the first block pushing puzzle game that I really got into.
Okay.
I do find that, like if I try and play any of the arcade ones, like you got the Boxy Boy in the arcade, but it's a different one, and I just don't gel with it as much. But I think it's a combination. The puzzles here are really good. I mean, obviously it starts off not too bad, but it gets quite head scratching and some really good puzzles built here.
I'm a sucker for
everybody.
I'm a sucker for top-down games, and you're looking at tiles, because that's what it is, and you see the different patterns and all the rest. I love the aesthetics. Absolutely, that sells it to me. And I don't mind the puzzle for a while. Don't get me wrong. I'll play it and enjoy it, and then I just get to the point. Well, I've played it enough. I don't need to get to level 255 because level 10 has given it for me. It's like, I'm bored now. I'm bored. Next, please.
And that's fine.
Always does that, and that's more a reflection on me on this type of game than it is on the game itself. There's nothing wrong with the game, because it's not reeled you in under the pretense it's anything different. You know what I mean? It is a crate pushing game, and it's like, well, it's not enough. It needs to have maybe moving bad guys that you have to avoid with an arcade element for me, not just...
I see, I would hate that, because for me it's all about the puzzle, so it's like that would be an unnecessary... I mean,
listen,
what I would say...
I'm in the pub. Yeah. I'm in the pub, right, and I'm coming home, right, and I struggle getting the key through the keyhole. That's puzzle enough for me. I'm like,
No, I get it. I mean, the thing I would say to our listeners is, if you... Well, first of all, Kingy's wrong. No. No, what I would say to our listeners is, if you love your block, box pushing, sort of...
Then you
style
need
of
a
games,
life.
Yeah. I would say that this is the best example that I've personally played. So if you like that style, because I'm like with you, I've played a lot of their homebrew ones that have come along over the years. Because it's quite an easy game to write, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm like you with you. I'm often left cold, but with this, I think it's just a combination that it great visually, but the puzzles are really, really good.
The music's better than everything in the game.
Oh, the music's fantastic as well. But yeah, that's what I mean. It ticks a lot of boxes for me. So yeah, I am big fan of this one. Appreciate though that it's not for you.
No, I mean, when you get to these, I mean, I get it. When you get to these later levels and you've got the target dots where you have to push the crates, it's overwhelming when you look at it. You get to some levels and go, how the hell am I going to solve this? Right? I mean, you will ask yourself those questions because it becomes overwhelming. It's not just 4 crates and 4 dots. You're talking about 12 crates and 12 dots and a whole maze-like labyrinth of pushing that one singular wrong move buggers it for the entirety.
Yeah.
There's no undoing, and because you can undo a mistake. Maybe for me then, I'm like, oh, that's a bit too much close to real life for my liking.
No, I totally get it. But yeah, I if you love your puzzles and this type, I think you'll love it. And it's another one that really, only ever sat in this form on the PC Engine or TurboGrafx. So well worth people trying. As I say, I liked it enough that I actually physically bought it, even though I've never been able to play the U card that I bought because I don't actually own a PC Engine. I own the TurboGrafx, but not a PC Engine. But obviously, I played it on the Turbo. I bought the EverDrive. That was one of the reasons I got the EverDrive. Actually, was I want to play it on real hardware. Anyway, should we go on to our final game?
Wow, we're here already.
We're here already.
I've been having fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, I've really and it was doubly fun sort of playing through them as well. So it's been great all round. Yeah, so for the final game, we decided on Bonks Revenge, because obviously we've covered Bonks Adventure on the Amiga recently, but obviously the Bonk series were best known on the PC Engine. It really was the mascot, wasn't it? There was loads of there was 3 main Bonk games. They all each got better than the last.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really, really cool. But we thought we would choose Bonks Revenge because it's the second in the series, and it sort of made sense rather than hopefully in another if we re-look at the PC Engine, we'll cover Bonk 3, which is
absolutely
awesome.
We need to.
Yeah, but Bonk. Well, I'm going to let you describe it. Do you want to describe it to our...
Right, so... Let me read. Sorry. Right, okay. So this time, our little bald-headed nugget that he is, I mean, he really needs to go and get an x-ray and see what's going on with his head. It's bigger than the body. He's got this guy has problems. Right? He's
Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown of the cable world.
Yes, but I always... maybe it's my mind, Paul, right? But I'm thinking his mum's vagina, right? That's right. I mean, right? It's never been the same since. Your pelvic floor has been ruined, my dear.
Yes. So. I hadn't thought of that, but that's clearly how your mind works. Yeah.
When he was born, it made this sound. So anyway, In this game, our young hero needs to recover half of the moon. Don't know why half of the moon was stolen, but half of the moon has been stolen by the evil King Drool the Third. It's another multi-stage game, but ultimately, whereas the first game was more a left to right head bunker, right? Fantastic game. The game continues the same, but this one just gives it bloody steroids, right? And multiple directions. So even the first level, it's a vertical level. You have to work your way up the waterfalls and the slopes.
Jumping your way out the waterfalls.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So it's not just a predictable left to right cutesy action scroller like Wonder Boy or 1,000 games that came in its wake. I think this game gives it something more vastly different. And obviously the power-ups are still there, and I mean, it must be so bad being a vegan or vegetarian like this young child is. He gets one bit of meat and he goes absolutely angry and furious and pissed off that somebody's, fed him meat.
I made an interesting thing with this because I made not a mistake necessarily, but I played the Japanese version to start with, and I thought, oh, this is different from what I remember, because in the Japanese version, unlike the first game, he turns into cutesy, so it looks like he's blowing. He's not because it's the same thing of the clouds that on the first thing, but his eyes go all big and it looks like he's blowing kisses to the enemies. It was like a bit freaky, but then I was like, okay, let's switch to the US.
That's the one I've played.
The US one, and it's like, oh, that's more what I remember of the like the first one turning into the angry. The angry one. I guess it's the... but he turns into a real bruiser, doesn't he, when he has the meat?
Yeah.
Like the scarred.
And then he becomes this big bulging brain thing with his brain's about swelling out his cranium.
When he takes two. Yeah.
But each level is different than the level that came prior, which gives overwhelming anxiety of overload in the game, I suppose, if you want to call it that. It's fantastic. It's just such a well-designed, incredible head-button platformer that I think you can just continue to play forever and ever and enjoy the particular level you're on, and then go into the next, and it's just thematically and visually more than what you've seen before, and with fantastic boss fights again when you get to them, whether it be vertical or horizontal, and the level designs,
and find those little smiley faces.
That's addictive. I became compelled from the outset to be a completist in the games. I need to find that, because obviously you can change the little flowers that you jump on. You can headbutt them to change them to yellow. That allows you then to be propelled in the air and go higher, and just to get to these unreachable points. It's just incredible.
We get flying sections where you can you get power-ups, and I really like. Although I am convinced as I was playing it, he is a bit of a bruiser, because like most of the enemies, I mean, I know he's like saving the moon, but most of the enemies are like asleep, and you're like taking them out. I'm beginning to wonder, is it the story that we're really being told, or is he just like a hooligan?
Mate, you've got to learn. If you have your nemesis, your absolute enemy, you take them out when they least expect it, and take them out cold, right? I mean, people say revenge is a dinner, a plate best served cold. Absolutely not, in my opinion, right? Revenge, as a dinner put in a microwave and put on for 10 minutes.
And then you're ready.
It's nuclear. That's my opinion of it. So, no, this game is marvellous in every degree. It is so different from the first one, and I think it's incredibly better. The first one is superb. You can't I don't think you could come into this series and jump into the middle game or the third game. I think you need to play it in order to appreciate the progression and the evolution of the game, because the first one I love. I've probably got more nostalgia for the first one beyond anything else.
Yeah, because we had it on the Amiga and things as well, isn't it?
Exactly that. So it was important to acknowledge that. But then why do more of the same? And they didn't. I'm glad they didn't. They came on and gave something on probably a bit more steroids, and it's all the better for it.
Yeah, because I mean that's one of the things much that I love, like you, the first one. It is a very simple, basic platformer. It's just the characterization sort of carries you forward. Whether this is like a really well thought out platformer, this is reaching for me the tiers of things like your Marios and things.
Yeah, it's up there with that kind of quality of level design. Absolutely.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, the third one's even better. It's a shame actually that, like with so many of these, isn't it? It's like why did Bonk go away? I mean, there's so many, or PC Kid or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Because obviously in Japan it's known as PC Kid or PC Engine. Well, and of course that didn't make sense because it wasn't called the
BC Kid. Then.
BC Kid as we knew it in the
It gets all confusing.
Yeah, like many titles. I mean, I guess like it was called PC Kid because of PC Engine in Japan. But I really like this one.
You're right though. Imagine this in the era where we were having Rayman and whatnot on PlayStation 1. Yeah. Imagine a 32-bit reimagining of this. It would be absolutely incredible, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm so disappointed. I mean, Ali used to be on Retro Asylum days, but he runs the Retro Shop. Lovely guy, and he kindly, after one of the episodes, actually gave me, because there's like a remastered version of. You remember they did the remasters on the GameCube?
I didn't know that happened on the GameCube. Okay.
Yeah, they did some remasters, but I didn't like the visual style and things. I mean, I'm so pleased I've got it in my collection. It's like because I love owning all the Bonk games that I can, but it was. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's like, what the visual choices that they made just didn't make sense. Okay. Yeah. Didn't go with the pixel art, and it's all the things.
See that there you go. I thought it just ended with this, and that was it. So
no. So you had obviously, you had well, it really did kind of end because you really only got the Bonk. There was Super Bonk, wasn't it, as well on the.
I used to have them in my 20s.
Yeah. Not anymore. Not that we're married.
No.
But yeah. It's one series that I really wish would at the very least, why in this wonderful world where we're getting like Wonder Boy collections and things, is there not like a Bonk collection? I'd snap that up in seconds. You know what I mean? Because it's like, as you say, so many. I mean, all the games are good. Even Air Zonk, which was like a spin-off where it's like a futuristic kid that is a shoot 'em up. It's quite a good little cute 'em up as well. It's not obviously Bonk, but it's I love the series, and it's again a series that probably, I mean, many of our listeners will have played them, I guess, because they're like us and like discovering, but they certainly would have passed a lot of people by.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. So, any more you want to say about this one, or
just play it? Please play this one because it's incredible.
Yeah, I heartily agree. I think it's a great one. This, and I really love it to this day, and it's great. It got me. This episode has got me back playing Bonk again.
Yeah,
because I likes a bit of bonking. I do. So awesome. Any more you want to say about this one before we wrap things up?
All good, mate. All good.
No. So there you go, boys and girls. That was 6 games well worthy of a play on the PC Engine. I hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, please try these games yourself. That's what it's all about. It's not just us talking about it, but it's trying to give people curated lists to enjoy the games themselves. And we always love it when listeners play through these games and give their own opinions, and particularly when when our listeners prove Kingy wrong, like with Boxy Boy.
Oh, shite.
No, well, I hope you enjoyed, and hope to see many of you at the meetup on the.
Because we're going our RGDS holidays now, and we're closing shop, and we're going to Arcade Club.
Yeah, and that'd be awesome, and hopefully we'll do a vid for that and catch up with. I'm just looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, until next time, keep it retro, and catch you at Arcade Club.
Bye bye.